Hi, Brian. Thanks for joining me on Let's Talk Digital Marketing.
Hello, hello. It is awesome to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and you're my first guest no, you're my second guest from the USA.
Okay,
But
okay,
I need to get more guests from the other side of the
maybe we
pond.
can see about that. We can see about that. That's what. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I know we know each other through Only. Had a chance to meet and stuff like that through the obviously UK networking and virtual networking and all that good stuff. So I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. So for those who don't know you, so you're a coach, business
Yep.
coach.
Yep.
You're a writer because
Yep.
you've co-written some best-selling books. Is
Yep.
it 14?
Yep.
Is it 14
I've
books?
written. I appreciate that. That's double. I won't. But I have to walk it back. I've written. I'm a speaker, coach, and author. You're exactly right. I've been a coach and speaker since 2001.
Wow. Yes.
And I have written 7 books. The book that you were talking about, which is probably definitely my most well-known, is Networking Like a Pro. Wrote that with Dr. Meisner from BNI. We actually wrote 2. Now that I'm thinking about it, we wrote 2 of those, the first edition and a second edition. And that's definitely my most popular ones. But yes, 7 books, 2. It's definitely one bestseller. I can't seem to get a firm answer if the second one is considered a bestseller or not, so I've been going conservative.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, we'll definitely discuss the books with Dr. Meisner.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're also a speaker.
Yep.
You've done lots of speaking engagements.
I have. I talk a lot about for speaking, I do a lot of well, let me not say a lot. There's a component of my business that's a paid speaking gigs. Okay. And what I'll do is when I go do paid speaking engagements, I'll talk a little bit about, the mindset of success. I'll talk a little bit about building your business. I'll talk a little bit about leadership. The paid speaking, it's interesting because the constituency are usually looking for things. I talk about one of my other books, How to Overachieve Without Overcommitting. It's interesting because my coaching is more like marketing and networking and getting paid speaking gigs. That's my coaching. And then my paid speaking is more like personal development, mindset of success, and leadership. And it's interesting. You would think that I would be speaking about the things I'm coaching about, and that's not always the case, which is, I don't know, it's interesting.
Yeah. And also you play basketball.
I play a lot of basketball. I'm in an off week in basketball right now. I played last week, and so here's the thing. I play basketball, and because of COVID, I hadn't played in like 2 years, right? I'm playing with a mask on actually right now. Okay. So I had to work through that process. But here's the thing. It's been such a long time since I played basketball that I had forgotten the proper warm-up regiment that I use. So what happened was this is the second time it's happened. It won't happen again. There's a little process that I do, work your calves, work your this, work your that. And there was a muscle group that I just didn't work, my hip flexors. I didn't do what I was supposed to be doing. And my goodness, it came up. I was like, oh, and I won't make this mistake again. So I'm taking this week off. We've got, some different things that we're doing here. So I'm taking this week off. But yes, I play basketball and I play golf.
Wow. You're an action guy.
I consider myself to be one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, so to start, just tell me a bit about your story. You say you started in 2001.
So I started my speaking and coaching in 2001. And what happened was my mom was a motivational speaker. So she got me like in that whole, genre, if you will. And I started in 2001, like I said, and I was just speaking, okay? Because at that time, they didn't have anything that we would call coaching, right? If you remember back, there weren't coaches. So I was doing speaking. So and I was speaking for free. And what was happening was I was trying to get money from back of the room and stuff like that. Well, I remember, I would go out and speak and people were like, okay, can we talk with you some more? And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. And then they're like, well, can we talk with you again? Sure. After like the second time, I'm thinking to myself, I got to charge somebody some money for this because it doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't mind talking with them and they like talking with me and we're covering stuff. I need to charge some money for it. So my first set of clients was $49 a month. Okay. Wow. Which is like unheard of. You know what I mean? But that's what it was. I didn't know a number. So I said $49 and they're like, okay. And we did it. Okay. And then what happened was like I said, at the time, I didn't know what it was, but it turned out it was called coaching. Right. And so I'm going out there, I'm speaking, I'm coaching. I wrote my first book in 2003. That
Wow.
was the original Networking Like a Pro, which was before we met with Dr. Meisner, before the BNI deal. There was an original book called Networking Like a Pro. And I can tell you that story if you want. That's no
Sure.
problem with how I got to meet Dr. Meisner. But, I wrote my book 2003, Networking Like a Pro, and then wound up doing a lot of work with people in terms of, networking, right? Because that's how you build your business. I know we're going to talk about digital marketing as well. Social media didn't exist at the time. The internet just came on. You know what I mean? So being able to do some of those different things allowed me to be more successful. And then, I went to school prior to that. I went to college at Duke. So I'm here in North Carolina, by the way. I'm here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, originally from Connecticut, lived in Atlanta for about 17 years, actually. I've lived here for about 7 years now. Obviously, like I said, grew up in Connecticut, Greenwich, Connecticut. So I've been, I love the Southeast. So love being out here, love being able to go out and speak, love working with people to help them impact more lives and get their message out to a wider audience. And that's what I do. That's what I do.
Wow. And what made you, what did you like about it? Was it just the interaction with people? Was it...
I think for me, I'm actually not the most naturally outgoing person. People have a hard time with that. I am outgoing, but I'm not naturally outgoing. So like if you take a look at what my hobbies are, okay, you'll notice golf, chess, movies, books. Like the through line for all those is those are individual deals. Okay, those are all individualized deals. Now, basketball is different. Okay, but if you look at most of the things that I spend my time with, it's individualized deals. And I think so. What that meant for me was you got what I liked best about it. It wasn't the idea of meeting and talking with a bunch of people. I don't dislike it, but that just wasn't the main thing. The main thing, and I've told people, anyone who wants to know, I'm a big sports guy. I'm all about winning. Like for me, there is an intrinsic value for somebody developing a word of mouth client. There's an intrinsic value from somebody getting a paid speaking engagement. There's an intrinsic value for me from somebody who is looking for better follow-up. Like there's intrinsic value to these things, and I'm all about winning. So for me, what I think got me into coaching was the idea that I do the speaking, and then the coaching was like, okay, now let's make this topic of whatever work for you in your business. And there is an intrinsic value to me for that turns out to be a motivating factor, which it turns out is called coaching, which it turns out people will pay you money for. So that's kind of how I go about that. I like the idea of getting people across. I like the idea of a partnership approach that gets people to a desired result in a way that might be faster than if they had done it themselves.
Sure. So how did you get involved with Dr. Meisner? What was the story behind that?
Okay, so this is a good story. So a friend of mine, he actually was a franchisee at the time. So BNI, if people don't know, is a series of franchises. It's not so much now, but at the time when Dr. Meisner was there, it was like all franchises, okay? And what happened is Dr. Meisner signed a new deal, like a deal with Entrepreneur Press, because that's his company of choice, with Entrepreneur Press. And it was like my understanding is it was a 10-book deal, 3 guaranteed, books 4, 5, all the way up to 10 was based off of 1, 2, and 3 results. That's my understanding of the deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now you're Dr. Meisner, right? Here's what you're thinking to yourself. I've already written 7 or 8 books. So I need to find preferably the first 3 that will trigger this next part of what I'm trying to do in terms of writing more books. That's what I'm thinking if I'm him. Okay, so he put out a call to the franchises and says, listen, do you want to write a book together? Like, do you know of somebody? Blah, blah, blah. Well, this guy introduced me. He's like, we had just met through like a Rotary speaking engagement, which, by the way, networking, right? Speaking, networking, meeting people, getting out of the house, physically at the time, virtually, I would say more so now, and that's fine. But, getting out, and he put my name in the hat. And I talked with Dr. Meisner afterwards about this after the fact. And he's like, yeah, we love the title. It was called Networking Like a Pro. He's like, we love that title. And that's what won it for me. And that, my friend, got me book number 3. So I got a part of the guaranteed deal. So now I'm like, okay, I'm in great shape, right? So we do the book. And I'm not saying it's Dr. Meisner's best work. I'm not saying that. I don't know that for a fact. Let me tell you what I do know. What I do know is that a lot of people in BNI, when I talk to them, say, we love your book. We love the fact that it's actionable. We love the fact that it was, all this good stuff. We love Dr. Meisner. We love, the stuff that you brought in. Like, we love all of it. And, I think his most famous book is The World's Best Known Marketing Secret. If I were to speak for him for a second, I think that's his most famous one. Networking Like a Pro is in that conversation of a top 5 book because a lot of people have said that they really enjoy it and have really liked it. So for me, it's been a pleasure to be a part of it. We wound up doing a second edition, I don't know, a few years ago. And, it's been a blast.
Yeah. I was a member of BNI many years ago, and I read that book at the time and didn't realize
it. You read Networking Like a Pro?
Yeah. I didn't put 2 and 2 together when I met you later on that you were the co-author.
Right.
So
right.
So it was amazing book. And
that's what people have said that, and it's not patting myself on the back. It was all of us, but people have really said that book was. They said that it was really the way that it was written and the manner in which it came across. They really enjoyed it, and it was something that was helping their business. So thank you for saying that too.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And what would you say to someone? Why should someone go networking? What would be the benefit of it for a business person?
I think for a business person, networking, whether it is digital or physical, because I know we have a digital audience as well, networking is really a means to relationship building. Okay, so if we step back for a second, we're talking about business success. All right, what do you need to do to be successful as a business person? This is not my opinion. This is what I've seen. This is not my opinion. It's the idea that you need to have people that know, like, and trust you. I'm not the first person who said that. I won't be the last. Why? Because it's true. In order for people to know, like, and trust you, they have to be able to know you exist. That's the point that I try to make to a lot of my clients. You can be the best coach or service professional or speaker or whatever in the world. But if no one knows you exist, then I don't understand why how can you be successful with that? So to answer your question, networking is an awareness conversation. And then it's also, Dr. Meisner talks about this in our book on the Networking Like a Pro. He talks about this idea of visibility, credibility, and profitability. All right. And the idea is that getting out and networking is a conversation about visibility. I go out to a networking group, I meet people, and that's how they become aware of me, and vice versa, by the way. It's a visibility. All right. Then the credibility piece is, all right, so now that I've done that visibility and they're aware of me, how is it that they could want to, feel that I'm a credible resource, feel that I'm somebody who they might want to work with, or feel like there's somebody who might want to refer me to others, right? That's credibility. That's how you come across. My mom calls that the 12 by 12 by 12 rule. There's stuff we can get into that if you want. Third thing then is profitability. Okay. And that's where you get into, and I talk to people, I know you're in the UK, and really the whole world is Celsius. We do Fahrenheit. I don't know what the boiling point is for water in Celsius, but in Fahrenheit, it's 212. Okay. And what happens is you have a lot of people who are networking, but not really, in my opinion, doing it right. They're not following up. They don't have a clear, consistent marketing message. They're not being consistent. There's a few things going on. And they're running at a level that's 180 degrees, again, Fahrenheit, of where it is they're trying to go. And when you're networking like a pro, you understand that there are some things that through follow-up, through meeting the right people, through saying the right things, you're going to have some frogs. But when you're doing it right, you're moving forward. And to answer the question again, the benefit: why should a business person network? To develop a word of mouth business, to get more speaking engagements, to build a community, to be able to have people like you and I. You're so nice to have me on the podcast. I didn't know that when we first met. We met through Only. I didn't think to myself, oh, well, let me meet Mike Sharp. I don't remember exactly how we met. Maybe it was in a breakout. Who cares? But we did a one-to-one. We then sat down. We developed some stuff. You did some stuff with me, which was super, super nice of you. I'm doing some stuff with you, which was really, again, nice of you to have me on. And you just don't know where the relationship is going to go. And I think when you're networking, you understand that there are things and places that we, as the people in question, can't really foresee. But if you just go at it from a faith basis, I'm a spiritual person, okay? When you come at it from a place of faith, which is I'm having faith in the process of meeting new people and developing rapport, and that process I have confidence in through my faith that it's going to work out, that's when you're playing your game.
Yeah, interesting. And what would you say was the number one mistake that networkers make?
Lack of follow-up. So here's the deal. People go out and they're like, oh, I'm going to go out and I'm going to network. Okay. And I'm going to meet all these people and I'm going to get all this business and I'm going to whatever I think in my head. And then they get this stack of business cards, and we've all had them. Like I've had them. I'm sure you have as well. Like we've all listeners have had them. So we come back with this stack of cards, and we don't follow up with it. Right. What happens is we put it in a rubber band. Right. We're like, oh, we're really going to get on top of this, and we do all this stuff, and we don't follow up with it. One of the things that I talk about, listen, what you want to do. I walk through a 5-step process. If you don't mind, I'm just going to get into that real quick. If that's okay.
That's totally fine.
I talk about a 5-step process. So the first step is what I call a visible identity. All right. And that's the idea that how can you differentiate yourself in the mind of the other person from the other 5 people that they've met? That's the first step. That's what you're doing at the networking event itself. That's what you should be doing with your elevator pitch. And my point that my mom makes, the 12 by 12 by 12 rule, managing the perception others have of you. Visible identity right off the bat. Okay. Step 2 then is this conversation about this is a one-to-one. Okay. The gap between step 1 and step 2 is what we're calling follow-up. Okay. So what happens is I've met Mike Sharp and we had a good meeting over at Only, and that's great. And then but nothing's actually happened because we're still at 180 degrees, right? We're not at 212 yet. So we're still at 180 degrees, even though we had a great conversation. And then I send an email. I don't know if I did or not, but let's say I send an email, or even better yet, hey, Mike, listen, why don't we schedule some time right now while we're at the event and let's put some time down and let's get this done. Okay. Now I'm having a one-to-one with that person. I'm getting to know them professionally, just getting a feel for what they're doing. I'm not making an offer. I'm not trying to sell them. I'm trying to get to know them professionally. Then I go to step 3. I do what I call a business meeting. You and I did this, where I said, all right, let me take a look. We had a good one-to-one. Let's talk about how we can help each other out. First, let me see what I can do for you, or vice versa. Doesn't make a difference. Let me see what I can do for you, or vice versa. And let's have a business meeting. And then from there, step 4, let's get some introductions now that you understand my business of where and who you might think is a good referral for me. And then number 5 is now I'm making calls to warm introductions based off of what exactly a person who I met 10 weeks ago at a networking event. And what I do is you just keep doing that over and over and over again. Networking is really a conversation about logistics and making sure that the people that you meet, you're able to stay on top with, of, and for. One of the services I have actually allows people to be able to streamline their follow-up process and to automate it to a certain extent. And I can't tell you, it's worth its weight in gold if you were to ask me. But that's the number 1 mistake is lack of follow-up.
Yeah, that makes sense. And interesting, you talked about being organized as well, because I think that's really important especially when you're following up and you have all the details of the prospect from when you met previously and made notes.
Yeah, you have to have, and now you're alluding to like a contact management system or something like that.
Yeah.
You have to have, I mean, I hate to be the one to say what you have to do, but like if you're going to have a serious conversation, if you're not going to have a serious conversation about word of mouth marketing, then do what you want. That's fine. But if you're going to have a serious conversation about word of mouth marketing, if you're going to have a conversation around, getting 2 or 3 referrals a month, or just at least be in that discussion, if you're going to have a conversation around, business coming to you, right? If that's the conversation you're going to have, then you have to have a couple of other things. Okay. You have to have a mechanism for staying on top of following up with people. You have to have a mechanism for keeping up with the notes. That's a contact management system. You have to have, so you asked about the first biggest mistake. Let me give you the second, if you don't mind, is You have to have a clear, consistent marketing message. When people ask you what you do, you have to be able to explain to them in a concise manner what it is you do. Brian, what do you do? What I do is I work with individuals to help them impact more lives and expand. What I do is work with individuals to help them expand their reach, impact more lives, and get higher paying clients without being pushy or salesy. That's what I do. Oh, okay. Well, how do you do that? Well, what I do is this. Like these are not my rules. These are not my rules. Okay. These are just things that you have to have. Okay. And when you have those 2 or 3 things, like I just mentioned, the management system, some type of follow-up mechanism, and an elevator pitch, or what I call a clear, consistent marketing message. And then you also have to be coming from a place of authenticity. So you cannot be one of these little chuckleheads out there who's trying to act like this and not be that. And, what we've kind of made a science out here in the States. Like it needs to be something where people believe what you say and you say what you believe. My brother and I talk about a good faith effort a lot. You have to have people believe who you are and trust. And you know how you do that? By following up, doing what you said you're going to do, and making good faith efforts. You know what I mean? And when you do that, it doesn't happen overnight. So this is not, if you want something that happens quickly, buy microwave popcorn, because that'll be done in 2 minutes. This is not microwave popcorn. This is not the business equivalent of microwave popcorn. This is the business equivalent of making. Oh, do you know red beans and rice, Mike? Have you heard of that? It's a Southern dish. Do you know what I mean when I say that?
I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, let me. Can I educate your UK base?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so we're living here in the South, Southeast North Carolina. Okay, there's a dish that we cook. I'm getting better at it. It's called red beans and rice. It's actually more, I haven't heard the term Cajun. That's more like Louisiana, which is the state next to Texas, and also next to Florida on the Gulf Coast. Okay, yeah. Gulf of Mexico, down there. Okay, so red beans and rice is you take red beans. I've got kidney beans. You buy them at the store, and you just soak them overnight. Okay, and they pop up. And they get like filled with water. I don't know the mechanics behind it, but they pop up. Then what you do is you put it into a skillet, like a actual pan, like a pot. You put in celery, peppers, and my girlfriend and I, we are pescatarian, which means that we're not totally vegan, but we don't eat a lot of meat in general. So we've got some plant-based sausage. Boom, 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 boom. It's really good, okay? And you put that in there, and then you stir it, and then you add some, we do vegetable broth. Whole thing, I don't know, a low simmer, hour. Maybe 90 minutes. Depends how thick you want the sauce, I guess, okay? So you put all that in there, and that's your red beans. And it is so good. Cajun spices and some other good stuff, peppers, and then you put it over a bed of rice. OMG good. We're having that tonight for dinner.
Oh, lovely.
So, yeah, but it's like red beans and rice. Networking is not microwave popcorn. No disrespect to microwave popcorn, but dinner at my place, red beans and rice tonight. You're gonna like it.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Thank you.
It's not a ready meal.
No, it's not. It's not a ready meal. It's exactly right. It's not a ready meal.
And when you say, that's interesting, I'll pick up what you said earlier about faith having a part in it. Do you mean in terms of, you mentioned before about faith.
Yep.
Do you mean in terms of belief in yourself or in a higher power or?
Yeah. I am a spiritual person. So I believe in a higher power. But the point that I was making was, I'm not trying to turn this into a Sunday school class. I am spiritual, but that's not my point. My point was a good faith effort. So what I meant when I said a good faith effort, what I meant was that so it's about intention. It's about intentions. Okay. And okay, I'm going to make a spiritual point for a second, if you just indulge me. What they talk about is the mouth is the conduit to the heart. I'm doing a reading in my Bible, book of Matthew. And one of the things they're talking about is that your mouth is a conduit to your heart. What you have in your heart is going to come out in your mouth. Okay. And the point that I'm making from a secular standpoint is very similar, which is, all right, how are you as a person? Like when, like as a person, who are you? How do you show up? Like what type of person are you? You know what I mean? And for me, I consider myself a person who is, trustworthy, engaging, insightful, nice to be around, relaxing, laid back. Like these are things that I consider myself to be true about myself. So when we're looking at it from a business standpoint, we're talking about networking, and this also comes through, I think, Mike, in digital as well. Like we're talking about like LinkedIn and maybe like Facebook, like some more social type stuff.
Yeah.
People are looking for someone who they feel good about. And I think even more so on the social and digital side than even on the physical networking side, if you're not coming across as a good faith and positive intentioned person, I'm sure someone's winning games by doing that. We got a guy who was at the White House last time who maybe didn't do that. That same guy's trying to get to the White House again, who is not going to get there. He just doesn't know it yet. And boy, if you look at the different legal entanglements that he had, it's like a Pied Piper. Like, that thing where the Pied Piper and all these things are following him. It's like a half a dozen legitimate legal things following him. So that's the high extreme. But I think a lot of business people, if they don't watch out, you might not have the Department of Justice on your tail, which you don't want. Okay. But like there's some stuff that goes on that they don't realize can catch up to them.
Yeah.
And everything you got to come from this place of, in my opinion, the good faith part, is this the right thing to do? Am I doing the right thing? And if not, what do I need to do to get back in alignment with the thing that is right? And when you do that, And what does that look like in the everyday business world? That means going to a networking event, looking to be able to engage people, not to sell people. That means engaging on social media in a way that's authentic and not trying to sell. That means, that means making a good faith effort to do introductions and referrals for people who you know. That means, another one. I actually did one of the things I do, we've talked about this before, one of my follow-up mechanisms is it's a greeting card system, as you know. And what I like to be able to do is, part of the problem that I was having is I was meeting people and I would do one-to-ones, and then I had this whole bucket of people who, like, you keep meeting more new people, and it's like, well, what about the 50 that you've already developed a rapport with? Like, but, you're still trying to keep that going, but you can't go back and do 20 more or 50 more one-to-ones. So what I do is I'll use, again, our greeting card service to be able to, I know this for a fact, I sent out like 65 the other day. I try to send them out quarterly. I try to. I don't always, but I try to send them out quarterly. And then what I'll do is I'll go back and just reconnect with some of those folks, but it keeps me top of mind, and it cost me almost nothing, right? But it cost me something. So it did cost me something, but it was almost nothing. And it really gets the ball rolling. So when you are coming across as being good faith in your intention of meeting people and making introductions, that's how that pool of, let's say, I think I said 60 people, that pool of 60 people, let's say that's the pool of people that I'm now going back and trying to make introductions to. Okay. And by doing that, for the people that I'm meeting, guess what? As I'm talking, we're going with 60. As we're talking with that 60, I guarantee you when I'm making calls and sending texts, someone's going to say to me, boy, you know what, Brian, what is it you're doing now? Or I'm so glad you called, or let's talk about doing some work together. That's how it happens. But it didn't start by me saying, let me do this, this, and this. It started with me. I actually put a quote. We've talked about this. I recommend putting like a motivational quote. I went into Canva. One of my deals I like to say is, if you want to get more, you need to be more first. So I put something on Canva, a nice blue background. I forgot the font I used, copy, paste, put it on a JPEG, and I sent out 60 postcards.
Yeah. Well, what's your view on once you've got obviously got the custom, a lot of business people make a mistake by taking for granted their customers that they've got and don't really keep in contact with them.
Top of mind. Yeah. So what I like to do is, so we're still going to stick with the cards. I apologize because this gets that. Okay. And then there's some other things as well. But like the first thing I like to do is I like to do a thank you for your business card.
Yeah.
I love that. The service we use, I throw some brownies in there. I mean, people love that. Yeah. How many times do you get brownies from anybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not very often.
From anything. So I send a thank you for your business and some brownies. And by the way, that also has the effect of allowing people to be like, this guy's serious. He wants to do something. Guess what? We're back to good faith. Yeah. Remember that? Okay. Yeah. So I said that's the first part. All right. Second is I do a great job during the service of the client. Like I'm not just, phoning it in. I do a good job. Okay. Then the third thing is I will stay top of mind with them. So obviously, for me, I do coaching, right? So I'm talking to them on a regular basis. Okay. Then what I'll do is I will go out of my way to facilitate them either on social media. Like if I see some posts come up, I'm a LinkedIn man. So I usually see them come up on LinkedIn, but it's whatever you want. Okay. And I do that on LinkedIn. So I'll make it a point to share their stuff. Not just do a like, I'll share it. That gets their attention too. Oh, okay, this guy's in my corner. Of course. Okay, then what I'll also do, just keeping along the digital side, is I will do comments. I'll take a minute to actually do a comment. People like that. Okay, these are for my clients now. All right, then what I'll do is when we're done, so a card with brownies, sharing, servicing, we're done. I send another card saying, thanks so much for being a great client. Looking forward to our continued relationship. I will also do let me think what else. I do a check-in call with them afterwards. Okay, like I'll schedule a check-in call at the end. And then the sixth thing is, and there's one more after that. Sixth thing is I get their birthdays, send them a card and some brownies on their birthday. People love that. Yeah, and then the seventh thing is I invite them to networking events and groups that I'm a part of. That's how So I can't name all seven again, but I know I did name seven. I'm pretty sure. But like that's how I stay in, and that's when I talk about, I'm a sportsman. I talk about running an offense. That's an offense. Like I'm running an offense. There's a difference between calling a play and running an offense. Okay. I'm running an offense. I have a philosophical approach. I have a desired result of what, there's a plan, there's an idea, there's an organization. I'm running an offense. I'm not just going to a networking event or, sending out an email. I'm running an offense with a design preconceived notion of what success looks like and then effecting it from there. I'm running an offense. That's called word of mouth.
Yeah. And also it's being creative, isn't it? Rather than just sending a text or calling someone, you're doing something which is constructive. It's involving people. It's not rote. It's not just automatic and, makes total sense.
No, so, it's definitely not. It's something where it's I never thought about that. Thank you. It is creative and it's out of the ordinary and it's unique.
Yeah. Okay, Brian, we're coming to the close of the interview now. But as I said, I'm going to ask you some more informal questions.
Yes. Yeah. I've said, okay, surprise me. I'm excited.
I'm ready. Yes. So, not too exciting, but what would you say was your favorite film?
My favorite film, Black Hawk Down. No question. I've watched it 6 times.
Wow. Interesting. Is that because of the message in it or the...
So Black Hawk Down, for those of you who might not know, we, the Americans, we went to Mogadishu. We were trying to pick up some of these people. It was the cards, like it was the 21 cards and stuff like that. There was some high level value there. And, it didn't go right. Like for a day, it didn't go right. They shot down 3 birds. Anyway, the reason I like it, I like war films to begin with. I've not been in the military. I'm not a warmonger, but I do like war films. I think it's because I like the camaraderie and the teamwork. Yeah. Black Hawk Down was just really well done. I want to say it was Ridley Scott, too, who's no joke when it comes to directing and producing. I like the people who were in it. Josh Arnett. There was something band. I forgot his name. The guy who was in The Time Traveler's Wife. Can't remember. But I just like the whole story. I really enjoy it. Yeah, Black Hawk Down was if you ask about my number 1 film, I love Black Hawk Down. That was my number 1. I watch a lot of film. My girlfriend says I've watched more movies than any gainfully employed person she knows. I took that as a compliment.
Oh, okay. What would you say was your favorite music or favorite band?
So my girlfriend gets onto me on this too. I like my favorite song. There's 2 that I have. I like watching the live versions on YouTube. So let me preface this a little bit. I like watching the live versions on YouTube, and it's obviously the song, but I like the live version on YouTube. 1 and 1B, if I can have 2, if you don't mind. 1 and 1B is Stand Back, Stevie Nicks live version is a live version in.
Oh, that's an amazing song.
I don't know where she was. I don't know where she was actually when she did that particular one. And then my other one would be Madonna, Into the Groove, Blonde Ambition Tour, 1990 Japan. And those versions I love. My girlfriend's like, well, why is it you like so many female artists? I don't know what she's implying when she says that, but like I like. It turns out that we went back and looked at my playlist. Like 70% are female lead artists, so I don't know what that means. But that's what I do. I love
Stevie Nicks. Yeah, Stand Back, because that was a Prince.
Oh my God,
that was a Prince song, wasn't it? That was all Prince played on.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that was originally
the synthesizer. Okay. Yeah, the synthesizer in the background.
Yeah, so those 2.
Great, that's great. A great taste. How about books? Obviously, apart from your own books.
Okay, so let's say fiction, non-business. Can we?
Non-fiction. Yeah, non-fiction.
Can I do a non-fiction? Can I do a non-fiction and a business book? Can I get 2 on that one?
So non-fiction and fiction, or a business book, non-fiction?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Let me do the business book first. The business book that I love, I got 2 more for you. I'm sorry, Mike. I would have to say is the 4-Hour Work Week, and secret. That's 4-Hour Work Week is 4-Hour Work Week is Tim Ferriss, and the Secrets of the Millionaire Mind is T. Harv Eker. Okay, those would be my kind of my businessy type books. Okay, my other one. So let's see, fiction is fake. So my fiction, right? Did I get that right? Fiction is fake.
Fiction.
So my fiction is okay. You know what? The most creative book I've ever read. I read it last year. It's called Station 11, and it was great. They did a thing on HBO on it, which was now the only catch is it took place during a pandemic. So I didn't know that when I first read it, but I'm just telling you. So what happens is it took place during a pandemic, and the reason why it's the single most creative book I've read because it has 3 different timelines. No, it has 2 different timelines, and the third is a timeline of a book that's in the book. So Station 11 is the name of a book that a character is reading in the book. If I'm making sense, there are 3 different storylines. One is the book itself inside of the book, and 2 are actually real, past and present. It's the most creative book I've ever read.
Wow.
Station 11.
Wow. Okay. Great. And what would you say? What is your favorite holiday destination?
My favorite holiday destination? Does it have to be in the holidays, or can it be?
Oh, lost. Oh,
sorry about that.
You're back.
The holiday. Did it have to be like, when you say holiday, this might be a cultural thing. When you say, when I hear holiday, I think Christmas.
Oh,
I don't think that's
vacation. Vacation. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, yes. Yeah,
that's just a cultural difference. When you said holiday, I thought Christmas, but that's not what you meant. Holiday destination, I would say, okay, we went to Myrtle Beach for my girlfriend's birthday, which is, I'm a golf man and a beach man. She is a beach woman. So Myrtle Beach was excellent.
Where is that? Where is?
Oh, right. Myrtle Beach is in South Carolina. I'm sorry. Myrtle Beach is in South Carolina. It's on the Atlantic Ocean. And it's about 2 hours away from where we live in Fayetteville. That's, I would say, if you're asking for my most favorite one that I've been to, I would say Myrtle Beach. If I had to talk about some other areas, I would maybe get down to Florida, like the Panhandle. So the Panhandle is on the Gulf side, okay, and you get into that, and they say that the water is beautiful. I've not seen it because I've not been there, but on the beach. But that's if the question is what have I done? It's Myrtle Beach.
Wow, so it sounds very nice. I'll Google it later.
Excellent.
I'll Google it later.
It's not a big deal. It's only like 2 hours away from where we live. That's one of the differences between the UK and the United States. Like in the Southeast, that's why I love the Southeast so much. You can get into the car, and let me tell you what, you're at the beach, and you have the beach too, obviously, but like our beach is a little warmer. So
and they're huge, probably.
The beach, and you're just like, oh.
And what's the best way for people to contact you? What would be the?
That's a good one. So,
and also a supplementary question is like, what is the best introduction to you as well? Like, what would be the best way of? Yeah.
Let me do that second one then first, and then I'll get to the other one. A good introduction for me is a business person who is an entrepreneur. Okay, so somebody who's out and about, someone who's networking, someone who is looking to be able to get more word of mouth business, someone who is maybe, boy, you know what? I'd like to be able to get more word of mouth business, but I feel like I'm already networking a ton, or maybe I'm networking a ton and I'm not getting as much business as I think I should. I'm building community. One of the things I talk about is networking. Yes, there's a community, there's a relationship, but if you're running your business as a business, you need to be able to have some return on investment from that investment that we call time. That's networking. Okay, so if there's somebody who's listening and it's like, boy, you know what? I really could use a little bit more bang for my buck on networking. Or, you know what? Boy, Brian, now it's interesting about follow-up. My networking is fine, but boy, you're telling me you got a standalone app or a process for following up with some of these things? Yeah, those would both be good introductions for me. And in terms of where they can find me, very, very simple. It would be, you can go to LinkedIn, Brian Hilliard. Okay, you just look me up on LinkedIn, BRIAN, and then HILLIARD. Or you can go to our website, which is morepaidspeakinggigs.com. Okay, MORPAIMOREPAID, paid speaking gigs, morepaidspeakinggigs.com. All right, so those are the 2 ways they can catch up with me, and I appreciate it.
Brilliant. And they should be down at the bottom of the video as well when the video is published as well. So I'll put those down in the description below.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. It's been a pleasure. It's gone really fast as well.
Well, you've been nice. This has been great.
I've been very English as well, haven't I? But no, it's been great. It's been great, and you've given lots of value to our listeners, which is fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So have a great day, and hopefully we'll get you on for another interview.
I'd love that. Thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate it.